Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Vehicroid Yugioh deck profile for November 2022. Been wanting to update the Vehicroids, did a little testing and mixing around some of the numbers for the deck and figured an update was due. It's been almost a year since the last Vehicroid update. It's the deck used by Cyrus in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime, and I really feel like we could get some new Vehicroid support at any time. I know Duel Links has Kiteroid. I think it really would help with the deck if we were just to get Kiteroid being more of a hand trap option for the deck, or even just some new mechanic cards to help with the overall playstyle, which is to fusion summon out a bunch of Super Vehicroid monsters. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the 3-ofs, we're running 3 Mixeroid. You contribute this or 1 machine monster to special summon 1 non-wind Roid monster from your deck. And you can pay half your life points to banish any number of machine monsters from your graveyard, including this card, to special summon from your extra deck 1 Roid fusion monster with the same level as those numbers of monsters banished, ignoring its summoning conditions, but destroy it during the end phase. So this gives you setup for one of your Roid monsters from the extra deck, depending on which one you want to summon out. You have a good variety of different ones for the many different levels we have for them to go into, as long as you have the different Roids in your graveyard to banish. I also run 3 Dragonroid. This card really does help with the setup of those cards. With this card, you can discard this card to add 1 non-wind Roid monster from your deck to your hand. So we have a lot of 1-ofs in the deck, so just being able to have a search for that, specific one that you may need just for one of your extra deck fusions also does come in handy. And also, with this card being able to be used for that fusion play, sadly it can't search out Mixeroid, but with that being that we run 3 of this card, it really isn't that big of an issue. I also run 3 Ambulance Roid. This card was just reprinted in the latest Speed Duel set, making it a little more easily available for people wanting this card. When a Roid monster is added from your graveyard to your hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon it. So this card works very well with our next go-to Roid card, being able to special summon out a bunch of different monsters out onto the field for us to use and just swarm the field with a lot of Roid monsters that definitely do help depending on their independent monster effects like Drill Roid, or even just being able to have more of an option with cards like Rescue Roid. 3 Ambulance Roid also does help because we can use cards like Machine Duplication to summon out multiple Ambulance Roids from our main deck back onto the field. And I also run 3 Express Roid. This is what I was mentioning before. With Ambulance Roid, when this card's summoned, you can target 2 Roid monsters in your graveyard, except for Express Roid, and add them to your hand. So after adding them back, you can have Express Roid and Ambulance Roid be used to recycle the cards back to your hand, then activate Ambulance Roid to special summon them out onto the field. And it's not a once per turn, and Express Roid just has to be summoned. So even if you special summon this card, you can easily summon out the monsters added back, or just keep them in your hand to use for fusion material. For the 1-ofs, for the Roid monsters, I run 1 Gyroid. It's pretty simple. It's just used for the Steam Gyroid play. That's why we're only running 1 copy of this card. 1 Truckroid, 1 Steamroid, 1 Rescue Roid, along with 1 Drillroid, 1 Stealth Roid, and 1 Submarine Roid. Now, once again, all these are just 1-ofs because they can be searched out with cards like Dragon Roid. They can be recycled back to our hand with cards like Express Roid. They can be special summoned out with cards like Mixeroid. You have access to all of these cards from your deck to the field, and we have other spells to help set them up in the graveyard for all of our fusion plays. I also run 1 UFO Roid and 1 Elemental Hero Neos. I'm trying out the UFO Roid Fighter combo in the deck. If there's another warrior monster with higher attack, you can put that into the deck instead of Neos, just because any warrior can be used to summon out UFO Roid Fighter onto the field, but UFO Roid Fighter does count as a Roid, so remember that as well. And that is it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Megaroid City. You can target 1 other card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Roid card from your deck to your hand. During damage calc, if your Roid monster battles, you can send 1 Roid monster from your deck to the graveyard to switch the original attack and defense of your battling monsters during damage calculation. You can only use this effect of Megaroid City once per turn, and you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for fusion monsters the turn you activate this effect. So this is meant to swap the attack of your mobile base, giving it 5,000 attack, and being more of a boss monster to use against your opponent. And also just being able to set up more and more different Roid cards in your graveyard to meet the specifications of the card, while also being able to fuel your Mixeroid to give you a banish to then summon out another fusion monster. I also run 3 Vehicroid Connection Zone. You fusion summon 1 Vehicroid fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If you do, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and its effects cannot be negated. So very, very useful. We only have a few Vehicroid or Super Vehicroid cards in the deck, but we have Mobile Base, Stealth Union, and Jumbo Drill along with those cards. For those options to summon out, you can use this one for each one of those individual fusions and have it be protected by being destroyed by card effects, which is a big thing depending on the monsters you may be going up against with your opponents. I also run the 3 machine duplication just for easy special summon. The good variety of our 3-ofs, including Ambulance Roid and also Mixer Roid and our Express Roid, can all be special summoned out with machine duplication. Just has to have a monster with 500 less attack, giving us 3 resources on the field. We have a big recycle power with our Express Roid, plenty of special summons with Ambulance Roid, and then just the overall tribute power with our Mixer Roid, or even an overlay option, which I'll go over with the end of the video. And I also run 2 limiter removal. All of the Roids are machine monsters, so just an additional attack power boost, especially if we can, special summon onto the field with cards like Ambulance Roid, then just boost up their attack. And I also run the 2 Power Bond for more fusion plays, for more generic fusions, and the double attack from our extra deck onto the field. And 2 Future Fusion. This one's my favorite to use with your Barbaroid, the Ultimate Battle Machine, because you need 5 machine-type Roid monsters. And then this can also just set up a plenty amount of them in the graveyard if Future Fusion does resolve the following turn. For the rest of the spells, I run 1 Instant Fusion and 1 Polymerization, just for more of a generic fusion option with this spell, and Instant Fusion to be able to summon out your Parapsychroid, giving you another monster to use as a resource on the field. Since to go into your mobile base, you need 1 Roid Fusion monster, and that can meet the requirement. If you didn't want to run Polymerization and you have Ready Fusion, you can always put that into the deck, because then you can summon out your Steam Gyroid using your Ready Fusion. And then for the traps, I'm just running 2 Emerger Roid Call. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Roid Fusion monster, negate the activation, then send all cards with the same name as that card from activated player's deck and extra deck to the graveyard. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Roid monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Recycle power while being able to just take out an entire resource of your opponent, since it just basically sends all of them from the activated player's deck and extra deck to the graveyard. So if it's a resource they can't get back, you've basically taken away that whole play and any attempts of them to try and use it again. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill. You need 1 Steam Roid, 1 Drill Roid, and 1 Submarine Roid to make this card. So you have your Drill Roid along with your Submarine Roid and your Steam Roid. More of a difficult one since they're all 1-ofs, but still can be easily done with cards like Future Fusion and just being able to search out them with cards like Mixer Roid and setting them up in the graveyard with cards like Megaroid City. It is a monster that basically just does piercing, but if you use your go-to fusion spell, Vehicroid Connection Zone, you can make it unable to be destroyed by card effects, so you have a 3,000 attack point monster hitting for piercing against your opponent. I run the 1 Stealth Union, not the best card, but still a fusion option to go into in the deck. 1 Mobile Base, being able to move monster zones and swap the attack with the field spell, is our main go-to play that we have with this card. I run the 2 Parapsychroids, so you have the instant fusion target and the initial play to summon it out as well, just needing 2 machine monsters with the same name, and this card can attack directly, so you can summon it out with Power Bond, doubling its attack, and having a 3,200 attack point monster that can attack directly is definitely scary, because then you can just bypass all of your opponent's monsters or board that they could have made. And then the 1 Barbaroid, the Ultimate Battle Machine, for another 4,000 attack point monster, for more of a bigger boss monster than Stealth Union, I would say, in the deck. And also the 1 Steam Gyroid. Once again, if you have the Ready Fusion, you can replace the Polymerization we're running for 1 copy of that. And I also run the 1 UFO Roid Fighter for the Warrior UFO Roid play that we go into. And the last fusion is Ambulance Rescue Roid. Must be fusion summoned, and once per turn, when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it in defense, giving you that resource back onto the field. If it's a card like Express Roid, you can then just have that card add more resources back to your hand, or even just summon out a bigger attack point monster like Dragon Roid from your graveyard onto the field. For more of the generic cards, I also run 1 Barricade Board Blocker for the Link monsters, 1 Underclock Taker, and 1 Win the Wind Charmer, since we have Dragonroid and Mixeroid, which are both Wind monsters to use for this Link summon. For the Xyz monsters, I run 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Tornado Dragon, and 1 Lightning Chidori. Once again, same premise with the Mixeroid if we don't have as big of a monster setup in our graveyard. If you have Gear Gigan X and you want to run it, you can take out either the Abyss Dweller or the Lightning Chidori, or even the Tornado Dragon's player preference on which one you would want to remove for that card. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, like I said, the machine duplication play can definitely come in handy just for more added options. If you have your Mixeroid giving you 2 additional special summons, then you can have the overlay play into your Lightning Chidori since you're not locked into any special summons with this card, and then still have this setup and the additional tribute of your Mixeroid to then be able to special summon 1 non-Windroid monster from your deck. If you just have nothing to go off of for any of your other plays, you can get out one of the higher level ones, being your Rescue Roid while it's face up on your side of the field. When a Roid monster on your field is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can return that monster to the hand, giving you more of a protection play with this. But if you want to go more on the offensive against your opponent's defense monsters, you can go for your Drill Roid. Just remember, you can't summon out Dragon Roid, sadly, with your Mixeroid, but you still have the option to special summon out and search for more added options with cards like your Dragon Roid, giving you another Roid monster back to your hand. If you add Express Roid, then with this card, if you have 1 additional Roid monster in your graveyard, when you summon it out, you can just add the Dragonroid back to your hand to reuse again the following turn. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, I always like updating the Vehicroid deck, and hopefully we do get some more support later on. I know with the latest support, we only got Dragonroid, but as I said before, I would love to see just more support, including maybe Kiteroid in the actual TCG, and some other different vehicles. There are plenty of different vehicles out there that could be made into the Roids. We just have to wait and see them. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.